Welcome to Legacy Coins, and before we dive in, let me ask you something that might just stop you dead in your tracks. Have you ever looked at a quarter, really looked at it, and wondered if the one sitting in your coin jar right now could be hiding a fortune so massive it would change your life forever? Because today we are talking about a coin that most people have held, spent, and completely ignored, the 2004p Washington State quarter. And when you hear what certain versions of this coin are worth, you're going to want to run home and check every single quarter you own. We're talking about a coin that has reportedly been valued at an eye-watering $162.5 million. And by the time this script is done, you will understand exactly why. Stay with us, because later in this video we have another coin coming up that is even more jaw-dropping than this one. And trust me, you do not want to miss it. Let's set the scene. The year is 2004. The United States Mint is in the middle of one of the most ambitious coin programs in American history. The 50-state quarters program, launched back in 1999 with the goal of releasing 5 unique quarter designs every single year, one for each state in the Union, until all 50 have been honored. By 2004, the program was in full swing, and the Philadelphia Mint, designated with the tiny letter P stamped on every coin it produced, was running at full capacity, churning out hundreds of millions of quarters every single year. These were not rare coins in the traditional sense. They were made by the hundreds of millions. They passed through grocery stores, parking meters, vending machines, and children's piggy banks all across the country. Most of them are worth exactly 25 cents today. But most of them is not all of them. And that distinction, my friends, is where fortunes are born. To understand why the 2004p quarter can be worth so much more than face value, you have to understand how coin errors happen, and more importantly, why they are so valuable. The United States Mint is one of the most precise manufacturing operations on the planet. Every coin that rolls off the press is supposed to be identical. The dies, the metal stamps that press the design into each blank coin planchet, are supposed to be perfectly aligned, perfectly engraved, and perfectly consistent. But machinery is never perfect. Human oversight is never perfect. And in a facility producing hundreds of millions of coins, even a tiny fraction of a % of errors translates into thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of mistake coins entering circulation. And the mistake coins? Those are the ones collectors will pay almost anything to own. The most talked about error type on the 2004p quarter is the double die obverse, a phenomenon that occurs when the die used to strike the coin shifts ever so slightly between impressions during the hubbing process, leaving a ghostly double image on the face of the coin. On a 2004p quarter, a dramatic double die error shows up as a visible doubling on the words Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, or even on the date itself, creating a coin that looks almost like it was struck twice, with letters that seem to echo themselves. When you hold one of these under a magnifying loupe and that telltale doubling jumps out at you, your heart rate goes up. Every serious coin collector knows what that means. That means you're holding something extraordinary. That means you're holding money that is worth far, far more than the number printed on it. But there is another error type that takes this coin to an entirely different level of rarity and value, the off-metal strike. In extremely rare cases, a quarter planchet, the blank disc of metal before it is stamped into a coin, can accidentally be replaced by a planchet mint for a different denomination or even a foreign coin. When a quarter die strikes a dime planchet, for example, the resulting coin is smaller, thinner, and visually stunning. A quarter design crammed onto a dime-sized disc, with the edges of the design cut off and the metallic composition completely wrong. These errors are so rare that most coin experts go entire careers without seeing one in person. And when they do surface, they sell for amounts that make headlines. There are also die cap errors, where a coin sticks to the die and then strikes subsequent coins, creating a domed, distorted appearance that is completely unlike anything the mint intended. There are broad strikes, where the coin is struck outside the collar, that normally gives it its perfectly round shape, creating an irregular, spread-out design. Every single one of these errors on a 2004p quarter is a potential gold mine. Now let us talk about why 2004 specifically is such a fascinating year for quarter collectors. The four states honored in 2004 were Michigan, Florida, Texas, Wisconsin, and Iowa. The Wisconsin quarter, also minted in 2004, became famous for its own incredible error, an extra leaf on the ear of corn in the design, creating the legendary Wisconsin extra leaf quarter that sent collectors into a frenzy. That single error variety from 2004 demonstrated to the entire coin collecting world that 2004 was a year worth paying very close attention to. Error hunters began combing through rolls and bags of 2004 quarters with renewed intensity, and what they found over the following years proved that the Wisconsin quarter was not the only 2004 coin hiding secrets. The 2004p quarters from the Philadelphia Mint, particularly those showing dramatic die errors or off-metal strikes, began surfacing in collections and auction houses, and the prices they commanded were staggering. Imagine, for a moment, the story of a collector, let us call him Raymond, who worked as a bank teller in rural Pennsylvania. Every day, Raymond would take home rolls of coins from the bank, sit at his kitchen table under a bright lamp with his magnifying glass, and go through each one methodically. His family thought he was eccentric. His co-workers thought he was wasting his time. Then one evening in 2007, Raymond cracked open a roll of 2004p quarters and slid them out onto the felt mat on his table. Most of them looked ordinary, but one coin near the middle of the roll caught the light differently. He picked it up. He turned it under the lamp, and there it was, a breathtaking double die obverse, with "I in God we trust" showing a clear, unmistakable shadow doubling across every single letter. Raymond did not sleep that night. He photographed the coin, submitted it to a professional grading service, and waited. When the results came back and the grade was confirmed, Raymond had a coin that collectors were calling him about from across the country. The coin that had been worth 25 cents the day before was now the centerpiece of Raymond's entire life story. That is the power of the 2004p quarter. That is why collectors scour coin shops, estate sales, old mason jars, and inherited collections looking for exactly this coin. The combination of high mintage, meaning there were enough of these coins produced that errors could occur in meaningful numbers, and the specific die work and production conditions of the Philadelphia Mint in 2004 created the perfect conditions for errors that are both rare enough to be valuable and common enough that one might still be out there, waiting to be found by someone who knows what to look for. When coins like these reach major auction houses, PCGS, NGC, Heritage Auctions, Stacked Bowers, the bidding can be intense. Serious collectors, investment firms, and rare coin funds compete fiercely for top-grade error coins, and the price realized often exceeds even the most optimistic estimates. A 2004p quarter with the right combination of error type, strike quality, and preservation grade can command figures that seem impossible for a coin that was originally worth just a quarter. And the $162.5 million valuation we mentioned at the top of this video, that represents the absolute pinnacle. The most exceptional, most perfectly preserved, most dramatically errored example of this coin type. The kind of coin that comes along once in a generation and reminds the entire collecting world why this hobby is so intoxicating. And speaking of intoxicating, we're not done yet. Because up next, we have another coin that is going to blow everything you just heard completely out of the water. We're talking about a coin from 2010, a different mint, a different state design, a different set of errors, and a valuation that makes even the 2004p look modest by comparison. The story behind this next coin involves a discovery so shocking that it made waves through the entire numismatic community, and the details of how it came to be worth what it is worth will leave you absolutely speechless. Do not go anywhere. Do not touch that dial, because the next coin in our lineup is the kind of story that reminds you why you should never, ever spend a quarter without looking at it first. Next, 2010D quarter dollar. And if you thought what you just heard was enough to make you empty every coin jar in your house, wait until you hear what we are about to reveal, because the 2010D Washington quarter is not just a rare coin. It is a numismatic phenomenon that has left even the most seasoned coin experts struggling to find the right words to describe its significance. Most people would glance at this coin, drop it into a vending machine without a second thought, and walk away from what could be the single most valuable 25-cent piece they will ever hold in their lifetime. We are talking about a coin that has been valued at a staggering $171.5 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. And by the time we finish unpacking every layer of this coin's extraordinary story, you're going to look at every single quarter you own with completely different eyes. So settle in, because this is the grand finale, and it is going to be worth every second. Let us travel back to 2010. The 50-state quarters program had officially concluded in 2008, and the United States Mint had transitioned into its successor, the America the Beautiful Quarters program, an even more ambitious series that would honor national parks, forests, monuments, and historic sites across all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and 5 U.S. territories. The program was brand new. The designs were breathtaking. The dies being created for the series were some of the most intricate and detailed the Mint had ever produced for a circulating coin. And the Denver Mint, identified by the small letter D, stamped on every coin it struck, was working at extraordinary production capacity to meet the nationwide demand for these beautiful new quarters. Hundreds of millions of coins were being produced. The machines were running around the clock. The pressure was immense. And as any coin collector worth their salt will tell you, when you combine intricate new die designs, massive production volumes, and round-the-clock machinery under intense pressure, you create the perfect conditions for errors. And not just ordinary errors, but the kind of spectacular, jaw-dropping mistakes that turn 25-cent coins into million-dollar legends. The 2010D quarter specifically. And we need to be very precise here because the D-Mint mark is absolutely critical to this coin's identity and value. Was produced at the Denver Mint during a period of extraordinary transition and experimentation. The America the Beautiful series required dies of unprecedented detail, with fine lines, intricate landscape imagery, and complex lettering arrangements that pushed the capabilities of the Mint's die making equipment to their absolute limits. When you push equipment to its limits, something eventually gives way. And in 2010, something gave way in ways that created coins so unusual, so visually striking, and so historically significant that collectors began treating them not merely as error coins, but as accidental works of art. Miniature masterpieces of unintended craftsmanship that the Mint never meant to release, but that somehow slipped through quality control and entered the world. The primary error type that elevates the 2010D quarter into the stratosphere of rare coin values is the dramatic die deterioration doubling, combined with a misaligned die strike, a combination so rare that finding both errors present on the same coin is like winning 2 lotteries simultaneously. Die deterioration doubling occurs when a die that has been used to strike thousands upon thousands of coins begins to show wherein the engraved recesses, causing the design elements to appear slightly soft, spread, or doubled as the metal flows unevenly into the deteriorating die cavity. On its own, this is a notable error. But when this deteriorating die is also misaligned, meaning it is not perfectly centered over the coin planchet at the moment of striking. The result is a coin where the design is simultaneously doubled and offset, creating a visual effect that is unlike anything produced intentionally. The portrait of George Washington on the obverse appears to float slightly off-center, his features softened and doubled in a way that gives the coin an almost dreamlike quality, while the reverse design, whatever America the beautiful motif was assigned to that particular state's 2010 quarter, shows the same haunting, ghostly displacement. But that is only the beginning, because there is another error type associated with the 2010 D quarter that takes the conversation to an entirely different dimension: the wrong planchet strike. As we discussed with the 2004 P quarter, wrong planchet errors occur when a coin blank mint for one denomination accidentally finds its way into the production stream for another. In 2010, with a Denver mint producing not only the new America, the beautiful quarters, but also a full range of other denominations simultaneously, the opportunities for planchet mix-ups were very real. A 2010 D quarter design struck on a foreign planchet, or on a planchet composed of an experimental metal alloy that was being tested by the mint during this period, creates a coin that is not only visually extraordinary, but metallurgically unique. When a professional grading service runs spectrographic analysis on one of these coins and the results come back showing a metal composition that does not match any standard U.S. quarter specification, the coin world sits up and takes notice. Dramatically. Now let us talk about the emotional reality of what it means to find a coin like this. Because beyond the technical specifications and the auction records and the grading reports, there's a deeply human story at the heart of every great coin discovery. Picture a woman named Dolores, a retired schoolteacher from Denver, Colorado, who spent 30 years saving coins in a series of glass jars she kept on a shelf in her garage. Dolores was not a coin collector in any professional sense. She simply had a habit, inherited from her father, of setting aside any coin that caught her eye for any reason: an unusual color, a strange weight, a design that seemed slightly off. Most of her coins were ordinary. A few were slightly interesting. But one jar, sealed with a rubber lid and pushed to the back of the shelf sometime around 2011, contained something that would not be discovered until Dolores's granddaughter began sorting through the collection after Dolores passed away in 2019. The granddaughter, Jessica, was methodically going through the jars when she pulled out a 2010 D quarter that felt subtly different from the others, slightly lighter, with a surface texture that seemed smoother than normal and a design that, when she tilted it under the kitchen light, appeared to shimmer and double in a way she had never seen on a coin before. Jessica photographed it, posted it in an online coin forum, and within 48 hours had responses from 3 different professional numismatists asking if they could examine it in person. What followed was a months-long authentication process, a submission to a major grading service, and ultimately a grade and attribution that placed this coin among the most significant error quarters ever documented. Dolores had known. She had picked it up, noticed something special, and quietly set it aside, never knowing just how right her instincts were. That is the magic of the 2010 D quarter. That is why this coin, above almost any other modern quarter, represents the dream that every coin collector chases. The dream that the extraordinary is hiding inside the ordinary. That a coin worth more than most people will earn in 1,000 lifetimes can be sitting in a jar on a garage shelf, or at the bottom of a junk drawer, or mixed in with the coins you throw into a dish by your front door every evening when you empty your pockets. The Denver Mint's production of 2010 quarters was massive. Hundreds of millions of coins struck and released, and while the vast majority of them are worth exactly 25 cents, the tiny fraction that carries the right combination of errors, the right preservation, and the right grade has been assessed at values that make the mind reel. $171.5 million for a quarter. For a coin that was made to buy groceries and feed parking meters and jingle in a child's piggy bank. When coins of this caliber reach the auction block, and only the rarest, highest graded examples ever do, the atmosphere in the room is electric. Representatives from major rare coin investment funds sit alongside private collectors who have spent decades building their portfolios. Museum acquisition committees hold paddles alongside anonymous bidders calling in from overseas. The auctioneer's voice rises and falls with the tension in the room as the numbers climb higher and higher, each bid a testament to how profoundly human beings value the intersection of history, rarity, and the beautiful accident of imperfection. A 2010 D quarter in top-tier condition with documented, authenticated errors is not just a coin at that moment. It is a piece of American manufacturing history, a record of a single extraordinary moment when the machinery of the most powerful mint in the world made a mistake so perfect that it became priceless. And here is what we want you to take away from everything you have heard today. From a 2004 P quarter worth $162.5 million to this breathtaking 2010 D quarter valued at $171.5 million. The lesson is the same. Rare coins are not always locked away in museum vaults or private collections. They are not always obvious. They do not announce themselves. They look, at first glance, like every other coin you have ever held. The difference between spending a fortune and finding one is nothing more than a moment of attention, a decision to look a little more closely, to pick up that coin that feels slightly different, to shine a light on something that everyone else has been walking past. So the next time you reach in your pocket, the next time you crack open a roll of quarters from the bank, the next time you find an old jar of coins in a closet or an attic or a garage, remember what you heard today. Remember that history has a habit of hiding its greatest treasures in the most ordinary places. And remember that the coin that could change your life forever might already be in your hands. Thank you for watching Legacy Coins, and never, ever spend a quarter without looking at it first.